One of the biggest discussion points to emerge from the two mass shootings is the notion that violent video games are stoking anger in people who commit these shootings. But there's conflicting evidence as to whether or not video games can actually be linked to the mindset of a mass shooter. Western Mass News reporter Audrey Russo getting answers from local experts, and she joins us now live with more. Audrey?
Here at the East Springfield National Night Out. It's a big public event. It could be difficult, though, for some to shake the feeling that a densely populated area could mean the potential for violence. President Trump and other prominent officials blaming, in part, mass shootings like the one in El Paso and Dayton, Ohio, on violent video games. Meanwhile, other officials saying that video games are just a scapegoat to a problem for which gun reform is the only solution. While Western Mass News spoke with both a mental health expert and with a media professor as to whether or not seeing a violent image on a screen could translate to a violent action in real life.
It's a complicated, multi-determinant phenomena.
Bay State's vice chair of psychiatry says there are studies showing violent video games can make the player less sensitive to real-life violence. But Dr. Stuart Enfang says it's far from the argument that it's a direct contributor to the mass shootings like El Paso and Dayton's, which left more than 30 people dead.
It may have made some people a little bit desensitized to violence, but probably there are lots of things in addition to video games that desensitize people to violence. For someone to say, oh, video games equal increased mass murder, I'm sure it's not a simple equation like that, but really it's a complex social phenomena.
Western Mass News spoke with somebody who studies complex social phenomenons, UMass communications professor Eric Hashar.
There is sufficient research support for the idea that violent video games might contribute to our aggression. But aggression is kind of a more generally kind of a low level amount of harm. So to trace the link between violent video game use and a mass shooting, it's impossible to do that from the research evidence.
Shar says that impossible link she describes is compounded by the fact that other countries consuming the same violent video games as the U.S. don't have the same number of mass shootings.
This is uniquely and tragically an American phenomenon, and that, already shows that it's broader than video games as a cause. What is different interculturally between the American context and other places where they also have violent media circulating? One huge difference is Americans' fascination with guns and our easy access to guns.
As that debate continues to grow more heated with every additional mass shooting, Dr. Enfang asserts these instances of violence need to be addressed as a public health problem because of the scars they leave behind.
People fearful of going into movie theaters, or people fearful of letting their kids go to school. So in that sense, I would say it is a public health issue, and it would require a multi-determined approach.
Coming up on Western Mass News, we'll explore how the organizers of the National Night Out event here in East Springfield, how these mass shootings are weighing on their minds. You can see behind me there is law enforcement present here at this location. There are several throughout the city of Springfield. Again, that's coming up at 6, but for now I'm reporting live in East Springfield. Audrey Russo for Western Mass News.